the title from Make Sweet Love to Me to something else.
I literally just started the
Something
stream
else.
reaps. I literally just started the stream reaps. I literally started the stream, and that's the first thing comes out of your mouth before anything else.
Oops.
I really hope no one fucking heard that. God damn it.
Oof.
All right, she's over here. Oh, welcome to RambleCast. How are you doing today? Like, this is
Hey.
Ramble. This is RambleCast. This is a new episode today. Today I have my old friend Reaps here. He's been in a couple of the older ones, but this is his first time being on the new renamed cast, RambleCast. I don't know why I keep saying RambleCast, but introduce yourself, Reaps.
Hey, my name's Nice Reaper. I am a streamer slash up and coming artist, uh, and I have a lot of terrible stories to tell you all.
Yes, because today we're gonna learn about Reaps' history with working conventions.
Oh,
How do
you know
you?
what? Let's
Hmm?
let's just cancel. I don't want them to know.
Well, it's too late now. You're already stuck here now. You already set it up. I already sent out all the messages. You can't back out. You back out,
No,
you're a pussy. Oh,
no.
all right.
Alrighty.
How did you? Let's start from the beginning. How did you first get into the whole working convention stuff?
A friend of mine, like from high school. I didn't know he actually worked conventions, and he was pretty much like pretty high up the chain, like managing his own team and everything. And I remember one summer, I told him, like, hey, I really don't have anything to do. And he's just like, hey, we're looking for some volunteers for like anime conventions. And it kind of just like, okay, well, that sounds interesting. Maybe I'll give that a shot, even though I was like super anxious about it because trying new things like scares me, I guess.
Understandable.
But I ended up doing it, and yeah, I didn't know, but apparently he'd been doing it for years and years, and I had no idea. It's funny because we never really spoke to each other in high school. So the fact that he just kind of came out of the blue, it was at an anime shop actually. He just like came out of the blue and was just like, "Oh yeah." So
Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of how I got in.
Okay, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I mean, that happens with a lot of people. Like sometimes people you never speak to in high school. Usually, you might see them again, and they randomly like speak to you first. And you're like, "What the fuck? We didn't even talk that much." I'm surprised you remember my
Yeah,
name.
he was well, yeah. He was more popular than I was. God, I will say that. Just because he knew a lot of people. He was one of those like outgoing types,
Oh, okay.
like love people, very big people pleaser.
Like he was friends with like all the different like cliques and everything.
Oh yeah. Well, not just that. He was friends with a lot of the guest, the
Oh, okay.
big guests, like the guest that I never thought of ever meeting,
Oh,
like
okay.
Johnny Young Bosch, for instance.
You have to be fucking Johnny Hung. I'm fucking jealous of that.
Yeah.
All right. I will ask, did you just do anime or did you do any other convention stuff? Like,
It was strictly anime.
okay.
I tried to ask him about any sort of video game conventions, but he's just like, sorry, my team does strictly anime.
Okay.
Which,
Yeah.
yeah,
I wasn't sure because I know you've always brought it up, and I always thought, did you like? Because when I think of like you work at a convention, I think of like, okay, he probably has done other ones too. Because I think I've seen one of my friends. They have done because I knew they did anime one once, and I think they did a gaming one before. So I thought it was kind of like, okay, it must be more of a this is like the convention center probably hires them for like all the different conventions. Like probably hires like different groups where probably like the same people still come in kind of thing.
yeah. They have different teams that do them. Like you have the Comic Con people. That wasn't us. And you've got what was the name of that one? Nostalgia Conventions was what it was called.
Nostalgia? Was it like 80s and 90s type nostalgia, or is it just
Oh,
nostalgia of like every era?
it was mainly. It was just. I think it was just a name. I
Ah,
mean,
okay.
they. It was just regular conventions, but the nostalgia convention. I'm not really sure about the whole like historical part of why they like where they got the name, but I'm guessing they're probably going off of like just the idea of like when you were younger you watched anime a lot, or a lot of people still do now, but just those times when you were a kid, when you first like started getting into anime, like watching Saturday night.
Like back when like you thought they were just random cartoons, and then you learn,
Yeah.
wait, they're from what country?
You know, like why does this why does this cartoon look different? Why are they bleeding? Why are they getting shot? Oh gosh.
Let's say, so you didn't
Yeah.
do any of like the furry conventions or
Oh
BDS or
no.
like BDSM conventions or anything like that.
I've been to a BDSM party unlike unexpectedly.
Wasn't that
I
that
was
bar
very
story, or is that
yeah. That was that one.
would that really count as a party though?
No,
Yeah, no,
it was me being lied to. I was
that's
fooled and fell into a trap.
if you want to know about that story, you're gonna have to pay $20 for DLC. And since I don't have a pay
Yeah.
account, you're not getting that story. Maybe one day in another time period, because that story's fucking funny. But I'm not gonna put him through that. All right,
Please.
let's just start off with like let's start off with like what was the best thing that like these like things you saw where you're there. Like start off with like easy. Start off with the first thing really.
I'll start where it all began. The very first con that I went to.
Hmm.
Um, it was a Triad Anime Convention, and I was like in awe at first. I was trying to take pictures with everybody. He was telling me, he's like, I asked him, I was like, they have so many good cosplays here. Like, why aren't you taking any pictures? He's like, when you've done it long enough, pretty much seen it all. He's like, I'll take pictures of like this random super like obscure anime reference. That's what I'll take pictures of. And I'm just like, I see like a really kick-ass Helsing cosplayer over there. I'm gonna take pictures of him. And they had some really good ones. Like people put in a lot of like passion in their projects. It's crazy.
That's the one thing.
Very respectable.
That's the one thing I was like going to cons for is just seeing like how in depth some cosplays will go. Because some will be like kind of simple. Like I've done ones that are just like simple characters, and then there's the ones that like go full in. It's like holy shit, that probably took hours, dude.
Yeah.
Like, have you ever
Well,
seen like a Reinhardt cosplay from Overwatch? That I've seen that
oh my god,
before,
no,
and
I
I'm like,
haven't.
that's like, it's just like I'm like, how are you walking around in that? That's crazy to me. And the time and effort, you're probably sweating in there, but it's
It, it it
cool.
it takes them like months to make those like outfits, and that's knowing what they're doing. Like it's not like they're just making this stuff out of random. Some of these people know what they're doing, and it still takes them a very long time.
I
So
especially I
man,
I especially like the ones where they light up. Like I've seen a couple of like Metro like Samus ones where like their suits actually light up on the helmets and everything.
that is my biggest gripe with those. Since they were not video game conventions, I never ran into like, well, I ran into a zero suit Samus cosplay, but I never ran into like the Varia suit
Really?
Samus.
I've seen a couple of those at cons before.
I
I
guess it just wasn't as popular with people because
Well, this was way
I would
before
kill.
which like the last game that came out. Yeah, I think like the last game that came out before the recent one was what? Zero Returns
Uh,
on DS?
uh, oh yeah. I don't know. I guess I was just unlucky. I would kill to like see that. I would really kill to see that. That was one thing that I always wanted to see. I never got to see. But I did see a butt ton of Zero Suit Samus cosplays.
I mean, of course. I mean, that was the year of the con. We expect not to see a Zero Suit at least 3 times.
I was hoping to see a Bayonetta cosplayer and see how they pull that off because she's freaking tall. Honestly, Samus is freaking tall,
I mean,
but
you don't have to be accurate with your cosplay because that would just kind of ruin the fun a little bit, like,
oh
of
yeah,
for
no.
someone.
But think about all the stuff that you'd have to do too. You have to like fix up your hair. Like we're talking like OG, like the Bayonetta one, where
Hey, man,
she
people
had
are
such a weird hairstyle.
dedicated, man.
I will say that I had recently played Bayonetta 2 and I kind of like her hair shorter in that one. It looks very like spunky, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
I kind of gotten off topic.
Well, it's RambleCast, man. Maybe that's what happens.
Oh yeah. So the very first convention, I was pretty much in awe. I was just trying my best to meet everybody and talk and sort of socialize, even though I had nothing in common with any of these people. They were all doing their own things, and I was just kind of like in there and kind of the oddball out of them, even though I was just a volunteer. And they knew it. They knew I was a volunteer. So I go in there, and some of them are very, very weird, but I guess that's to be expected at an
Yeah.
anime convention because some people are just very, very cringy in some of them.
It's expected to be at any
Uh,
convention. Like, no matter what convention you go to, you're gonna meet at least a one or two weirdos.
yeah. So I go in there and I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm just the newbie, and they're just like, yeah. I meet this one guy, and he's like the one in charge of the the dealer's room, the room that sells pretty much all the cool accessories and stuff that you can get.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and he kind of gave me a bad impression at first, but he was like one of those guys that's like he speaks very like he speaks in a very monotone fashion, and but he's constantly joking, but you don't hear it because his voice is just like this all the time, like that, like just monotone. So he tells me, he says, I'm gonna make your he says, you want to be my best friend? And I'm like, sure. He says, do not like come in here during the hours when we're setting up. He's like, you're I know you're new here, but just don't do that. I'm like, oh, okay, well, excuse me. you know? Uh and then my friend, he pretty much told me, he's like, I don't know if he knows this, but you're actually going to be working with him. I'm like, okay, does he know that? He's like, he knows that. He's just fucking with you. But aside from like all of that, the biggest thing was just me running around the whole thing, just kind of like in awe of like all the people and the cool cosplay gear that I've seen. I talked to some of the like the artists in there, which I didn't know they had an artist alley too. I thought the artist alley was actually separate from the dealer's room, which I thought they would be together since people are selling their art.
That's kind of surprising.
And
Usually they're together.
yeah,
At least from my experience with them, like the ones I've been to.
I have not learned how to appreciate art so much until I've started doing it myself. Because before I was like, oh well, I feel kind of bad just walking through here and not buying any of their art because they're really good, and you could tell they're really trying to like profit off of that. But until I started doing it myself, I'm just realizing like, holy shit, they really are putting a lot of effort into doing these.
Oh yeah, there's so much effort that goes into doing art. Like we both have like to at least put our try to put our skills to use, and we're like, holy shit.
I will say, it was a pretty fun experience at first,
Hmm.
but I will say that like it got kind of like it was like a premonition for tragedy
Like you
in
had a
my
like a final
case.
destination moment.
Yeah, oh, this is just too good to be true. What is gonna happen? I honestly thought that it was like, oh well, I might get into a fight with some people here. Just I don't know. I might accidentally say something and piss somebody off. I'm very pessimistic. So I go in there and it wasn't none of that really happened. I got along with everybody. That was the very first convention. I had really fond memories of it. I remember walking around at nighttime and it was just like nighttime and everybody you still had the adult panels that I didn't go to because I was like too shy to go. I was just too embarrassed to go to them even though I was very curious about them.
I feel you on that. I'd much rather go if I'm gonna go to one of those panels. I'm gonna go to one that at least sounds interesting, but I'm also gonna go with people I know so I can not feel as awkward being there by myself.
Yeah. So that was the first convention. Now the second convention. This is where things start getting spicy. The second convention is like I was a little bit more like confident. So I was I already knew my job.
Like you had your big boy pants on.
Yeah, I already knew my job. I already knew what I was like doing. So I actually did everything early, so I would have time to actually like explore a little bit and go into some of the rooms where they had events and stuff. And they were very lenient on me since I was just a volunteer. They were very lenient on like my time. So they were just like just have fun. Just make sure you get your work done, and after that, just have fun. I'm like, okay, yeah, got that. So I go in, I meet. I don't. Do you remember Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged?
Yeah.
Do you remember the person that made it? His name is he goes by the alias Little Karibo.
Yeah.
I actually met him,
That's cool.
and he was a really nice guy. I I talked to him in the really cringy Yami voice, thinking that he would laugh at it, but he didn't. Like he didn't understand it. I was trying to like do some simple
Oh,
like
Reeps, were you one of those abridged guys, Reeps?
I was trying to make him laugh and I was trying
Reeps.
too hard. Like you could see it. And
Never
it feels
be
so
word of advice, never be an abridged guy, folks. Never quote abridged quotes in real life, or if you do, don't do it in the voice.
I did.
Reeps,
I
that's
did. It was so cringy. I
Reeps.
did it in the
Yes,
dealer's room and there was so many people just surrounding me. And he had his own panel. And I did it again in his panel.
Reeps, you did it
I did
again.
it. I did it in front of everybody in his panel.
Oh,
In front of everybody. It was so
Reeps,
embarrassing.
is that
Because
one of those moments where you're just doing something that memory comes back? Because that sounds like the cringe memory that like you
I
randomly have every once in a while.
let me tell you how it went. So he's going over his life and stuff, and just like talking and making people laugh in the panel. And then you got me, who just comes out of nowhere saying, "But how, Yugi? The chances of us winning are like gazillion to none."
Reeps. Oh.
And there was a silence for like 5 or 6 seconds,
That's too many
and
seconds.
and but it felt like an
That's
eternity
what I mean.
because it felt like an eternity because
When they
people
don't
were
laugh
just like looking
immediately,
around.
when they don't laugh like at like the first second, that's when it starts feeling, oh no, I messed up.
It's like I've made a mistake. I don't know what was going through my head. I guess I was just trying too hard because I kind of like I idolized people, and he was one of them. I was like I really liked the Yu-Gi-Oh like abridged, and I thought he was like really funny at the time. Of course, you go back now, and some of the jokes are a bit outdated, but I mean, you get better as you go on.
Yeah.
Uh, but that was good God, that was that one. I remember distinctly after that happened, I got so embarrassed. I just left. I just left the thing and I didn't even finish the whole event. I was that embarrassed. I deserved I deserved the silence. It was so bad.
You're just like, I'm
But
just gonna put myself in the locker. That was
I'm
bad.
just gonna I'm just gonna give myself a swirly. That's what I'm gonna do. I deserve to be bullied.
God. Oh.
But yeah, it was bad.
That's like
Aside,
yeah, I'm happy. Like I I'm happy you're not like me because if you were like me, I would just be lying awake that night, being like, "That was the most embarrassing thing ever. Everyone
oh
saw
yeah.
it. That's not gonna, and I have to go back the next day. Oh no."
Oh yeah, I mean there's some nights where it'll just randomly pop in my head. It's like, "Oh yeah, hey, remember that time when you were doing this really really cringy thing?" And then I just can't go to sleep at night. It's like that brain meme when you're trying to go to sleep and your brain says something and it just keeps you up at night.
Hey
It's
man,
like I'm pretty sure I wake up in a cold sweat some nights just thinking about how bad that moment
hey man,
was.
that's a part of life. That's why I like that gif of like the guy of like the thing like I'm pretty sure you've seen that gif on Twitter where it's like you're just walking, you're just doing normal thing, randomly remember cringy moment is just a gif of the guy from Sailor Moon like like having a headache and just falling on the ground. Because that's what that is.
Yeah.
That's everyone had it. Like if anyone says they never had a cringy moment, they are lying. They are lying. They are lying.
It was a very very cringy moment, and that actually wasn't the first time I did that. I
Oh,
did it to him again at another con.
Reeps,
I
Reeps. No, Reeps. Three, three times, three times.
to to be
The
fair,
first two times should have been like, all right, never again. Never again. Because the
I
first
learned
time,
my
that's a
lesson.
mistake. Second time, it's like, all right, that's on me. I should never do that again. Third time, it's like, Reeps. Someone could have, if someone came up and gave you a wedgie, you would deserve it. You would deserve it.
Yeah. I literally just I deserve it so bad. I went in there. I remember like I remember going up to him, and the bad part was is he didn't remember me. That's the bad part. It made me feel some kind of way because I came up to him at his in the I think his wife was like selling something at the dealer's room.
Wait a minute. Did you do it in front of his wife too, Reeps?
I did it in front of his
Oh,
wife.
God.
She laughed. She laughed. I didn't feel so bad. I was like, oh well, yeah.
Oh.
I did it in front of his wife, and I think maybe she did. Maybe she had an equally cringy moment in her life, so she was just kind of like nervously laughing to empathize with me. She's just like, I know this was really bad, so I'm just gonna laugh anyway, just to make him not feel bad. It was one of those laughs.
I oh God, Reeves. I
I
do kind of understand why maybe he might not have remembered you because of the fact he goes to so many cons, and also probably
yeah
you're not probably the first person who's tried to do a quote at him.
yeah he yeah. God only knows. That's been one thing. I mean, voice acting it to me has always sounded like a very fun thing to do. But I can only imagine if you were like a voice actor and you go to a convention and you have that one Reaper that comes in there and it's just like, "Hey, this is gonna be funny if I say this," and you're gonna be just as like cringy. You're gonna cringe just as hard as everybody else in there, and you're like, I didn't do this for this. I didn't want to cringe this hard when I joined this panel.
Hey man,
This isn't why I got my career started.
it's part of life. Every voice actor is gonna see one person be. You're gonna have two different type of groups. You have people who voice, who's gonna do your voice or from your show or whatever, and be like, "Wow, that's actually a pretty good, good man, that's pretty good." And then you're gonna have the ones who are like, cringe, come up and be like, just pity laugh, give them at least
Yeah,
make them feel good about themselves, or they don't laugh and they just kind of like, "Oh, that was weird."
he Luckily, I didn't feel so bad after the third time. I know I should have, but that was also the time that I actually I that one like let's fast forward a little bit
Hmm.
because the second con that happened, but this second like time I met him again, I guess, wasn't until like the fourth con that I'd been to, and I saw him again, and I was just like, oh, remember me? I didn't want to say, remember that really cringy guy that tried to quote you?
You mean like
And
number 500,000?
yeah, so yeah, I didn't want to be that person. So I just had a normal conversation with him. He's a really neat guy, really into wrestling, which kind of threw me for a whirl. I don't know why. I don't know many people that are into like pro wrestling.
Hmm. Yeah, that's nice. That's nice and wholesome, man.
Yeah. But at this other convention when I saw him again, I actually didn't just meet him. I actually met um, Mr. Creepypasta.
I don't. That's gonna be an explanation for me, man. God know who that is.
Okay, so Mr. Creepypasta is like one of the big like creepypasta dudes. He Okay, so if you listen to like the creepypasta like auto I guess I can't say audio books.
Mm.
It's like when like people read them. Um I have like a certain number of like people that I actually follow just because I like the way that they read out the creepypastas. It's really interesting to me.
Hmm.
And Mr. Creepypasta was pretty much one of the OGs that had it. And it was just crazy just meeting him. I was kind of like awestruck. But I'm going through just all the stories of like the good times, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, there were cringy times, there were good times. I remember, but I guess I should start to get to the bad
I mean, you
times.
can be able to go at times a little bit more, or if you want to switch it back and forth, that's okay too.
Yeah. Well, I'll go along with some more good times. I got to meet I had to be a I guess not a guard, but a guy that was like the assistant to Johnny Young Bosch
Okay.
for the first time. And I was always told he was kind of like an asshole. I've been told that, and it kind of made me like it kind of skewered my view of him a little
Yeah.
bit because I was like, I guess I just never thought about it, but I actually got to talk to him, and he wasn't so bad. I mean, he was doing his own thing, and I guess I just respect that. But I mean, he didn't seem so bad when I spoke to him, and the same goes for who's the who's the voice actor for Edward Elric?
I.
Vic Mignogna.
Oh yeah.
Uh, Funny story how I met Vic. We were actually in a break room, and I had no idea who he was because the guests could actually like share the break room with the workers, and I had no idea who he was. I didn't know what he looked. I knew his voice. I just didn't know what he looked like. And he comes in there, and he's just some ordinary guy with his badge on and everything. I was like, oh, he's just another worker. And he comes over. He comes up to me while I'm getting this thing. Is like one more muffin there. I remember he came up to me. He says, "You gonna eat that muffin?" And I'm like, "Nah, you can have it. Yeah. I mean, I don't really need it." And he's like, "Thanks, man." And he just takes it and walks away. And I'm like, "Okay, well." He had some very interesting pants. He had like fire, like hot rod on his pants.
Like 90s, early 2000
Like
pants.
yeah, like pants with like flames like
Like I know what you're
embedded
talking
into the
about. Like,
pants. He had those pants, and I was like, "Cool pants." And he's like, he turns around, he's like, "Thanks, man," and he just leaves, and my friend comes up to me. He's like, "Dude, do you know who that was?" I was like, "Another con worker, like a manager, maybe." He's like, "No, that's Vic Mignogna." I was like, "Still not ringing a bell." He's like the voice actor for Edward Elric and Broly. I'm like, "Really? That was him?" I didn't. He was like a normal guy. He's like, "Yeah, they typically are normal people."
That's why usually when it comes to the whole like, oh, like someone saying, oh, they're an asshole. I'm like, I need more stories, and I usually like, because I don't want to automatically believe that they're all already an asshole unless like the evidence is kind of like piles up.
Yeah, like when you actually meet them, you gotta meet them yourself to know if you're gonna like them or not. Um, so it's like I've always told that he was a bit on the extreme side. I've even seen like videos of him kind of like going against their every convention I've ever been to has always had this like religious cult protesting outside them. I don't know why. I don't know why. It's always some kind of like religious like following that protests the conventions.
It's
Every single one that I've worked at.
it's because they believe in devil worship and all the others. Because it's like all this devil worship. It's like it's a normal old people don't understand situation.
Yeah.
It's just it
So,
happens it's always gonna happen. Like I think actually I don't think any kind of I think it happened one time at my state con, but I think other than that I don't think it happens that much anywhere else. I feel like it kind of like maybe died out a bit, but then again, I'm surprised it doesn't happen more in my state, but it other places it probably doesn't happen really that much. But probably if you go into certain territories where it's more Bible focused, yeah, you're gonna probably see it a lot more.
yeah. So
Sadly, but
I think that when I was there, a lot of the supposed assholes I actually got along with cuz I mean, I guess I probably just didn't know them long enough to like have any issues with them, but when I
yeah,
spoke to them, they were just like regular people. It's not like they were like movie villain evil where they were just assholes just for the sake of it.
I usually think it usually kind of
Yeah.
depends on like the person saying it, and sometimes what was the days like for them beforehand or while they were there. Because sometimes you can be an asshole if your day's not going great, which isn't like justification,
That is true.
which isn't justification to be an asshole, but it still be like, well, okay, that makes sense though.
Yeah.
And sometimes people who say that stuff about the other person, usually they're kind of the assholes, and you'd be like, are you saying that because they are, or you're saying that because you did something and they called you out for it, or they didn't like it,
Yeah, or you had a disagreement on something
like a
and they
simple
just
disagreement that's like, who cares kind of thing.
yeah. And then suddenly they're the worst kind of person.
Yeah,
I get that. I've seen that a lot actually. Or it's just you hear very bad things about somebody and then next thing you know, they're really not that bad when you actually meet them.
the one thing I've learned about working jobs is that you think you leave middle school and high school people personalities. No, you
Oh
they
god, no, you don't.
that still comes to work. That still
You
comes to any
don't.
work job you
Yeah.
join. You still meet the people who are like two faced, the people who are really weird, and then the people who are just like edgy.
Yeah.
Like that still
It's kind of
happens.
sad. These are grown like adults, and you deal with them as kids, and you deal with them in your adulthood. They never change.
Never change, and it sucks.
So yeah, no, I've seen that in the workplace a lot too. Just hell, the when I worked at Best Buy for a time, it was I could tell there were a lot of like the dude bros that I worked with, like the jockish types. They were all like kind of like to themselves. Uh, and like when I say to themselves, I literally mean like they were a part of their own little clique.
Yeah.
They did not want to like do anything. Um, they wouldn't help you with anything. Just in my experience there. when I was there. This is at this location. I'm not saying all of them are like this. I'm just saying that this particular team that I was working with was like that.
Hmm.
Uh, but yeah, and I guess the same can go for like conventions too. I mean, there were some people in the conventions I didn't particularly like just because they were kind of creepy. And when I say creepy, I don't mean like creepy as in just like Igor creepy from like Frankenstein. I don't know.
Well, Igor wasn't
Just some.
creepy. He's just a little weird. He's just like a little man who got like a hunchback. Don't make fun of the man.
Yeah, well, there were some questionable people that you could tell they just didn't touch grass, if you know what I mean.
Like they didn't really know when to be like, hey, maybe that's a little much.
They didn't have any filters, and sometimes like I don't mind people being blunt, but when you don't have any filters, it just makes you come off as an asshole. And sure, you might have some people respect that, but there's a lot of people that won't. And there were some people there that just did not care what they just said whatever was on their mind, and it was pretty shitty. But that was just that, of course that's you gotta live with it. I mean, there's people like that everywhere you go.
Yeah.
But let's get to the really bad parts of the convention that I was at. And when I say bad, it's actually hilarious.
Okay.
I don't mean bad like it was a traumatizing. Actually, no, it was a traumatizing
You
experience.
go to an anime convention. You already have some traumatizing stories, man.
Yeah, it was a traumatizing experience. I don't ever want to go back if I ever.
Dude, literally, I saw some people with like I went to one con, and I remember two people I was with decided to be ice climbers, and they had rope connected to each other. You know, like the ice climbers. And then like some asshole worker was like, "Hey, you can't have that," and we're like, "Why?" And I can't remember what the explanation was, but it was like a shit explanation. I feel like he just didn't like it because we went past a lot of other workers that day, and no one else told us to get rid of it. So it was weird for this one guy out of every other worker to say something. And I shit you not, 10 minutes later, we saw a girl with a rope around some guy's like neck, as like really pretty much fetish style. And I'm like, we're just like, so wait, rope around each other like ice climbers is bad, but that's cool. Okay.
Yeah.
That was still weird because I'm like, I didn't need to see this fetish here, but all right. The BDSM convention here too. Oh god.
It was yeah, it's some people just have the weirdest kinks, but you know what? I'm not gonna knock them for it. I got my own. I probably got my own kinks that are weird to some people, so
Yeah.
I honestly just can't knock people for it. But let's see. When I was there was one convention, and this is the convention that kind of made me get a very bad rep because apparently for some reason furries really liked me, and I don't know why.
Wait,
I swear, I don't know why. I don't know why. Every single time, I don't know why. Every convention after this particular one. Now, of course, you did have some like constant goers. You have some people that are very dedicated, and that will go. They will like drive across like the freaking states just to go to each and every convention that they could possibly go to.
yeah.
And but I don't know. I really don't. I'm friendly to them. I don't like act weird. I don't know what it
You
is,
just
but
treat
for
them like
some
normal
reason
people. You're just like,
I treat them like normal people, and they take that as, oh, you wanna fuck, and I'm like, no, I'm just saying hi.
oh, you meant the horny bunch.
Yeah, I'm not saying all furries are like this. Furries are
Yeah, they're
regular
not.
people too.
They're not.
Uh,
We had
really
that
bad stigma.
we had the whole podcast where it's about like why the whole furry
Yeah,
stigma is like stupid.
yeah. Um, but after this one, I guess I just struck a chord with them, and my coworkers were always giving me crap because they were just like, "Oh, you're the furry guy because they all like you," and I'm just like, I don't know why.
I don't know how that
But
gives you like a bad rep though. It's just like, oh, they're just friendly. Like, of course, yeah, you're gonna have the ones who want to fuck you, but I mean, you have
it's
ones
it,
that who are just being friendly. They're just like, yeah, yeah, you're a cool person.
yeah, it's just the stigma. It literally is just that. It's just the stigma for it. But I know when I was there, I had should I just go ahead and jump into the convention where I was at, where I pretty much got like molested when I was on the dance floor?
What?
Oh, did I not? Did I never tell you that story?
No. What?
Okay, so I gotta pause this damn game. I gotta tell you this story. So here's the first convention that yeah. So so basically, one night it was a rave night, and we were doing and like it was 18 plus, and I asked my boss. I said, "Hey, my boss who was my friend. I said, "Hey, can I like go to the rave night? I've never like been to like a legal raid or a legal rave. Uh, so I just want to see like how like I guess tame it is by comparison to an actual rave." And he's just like, "Yeah, sure, go for it." And I was like, "Oh yeah, I can get my dance on, man." And he's like, "Yeah." So I go over there. He lets me off early that night. I finished my duty. I was a badge checker that night, and I go in there, and I'm just like, "Oh, okay. Well, let's have some fun." I hear the music. I go in there. There's like nobody dancing. Everybody's just standing around because everybody's too afraid to dance. So I go through and I get like shit faced and I
Wait, they
just
had
start
drinks
dancing.
there.
Yeah, it
The
was
radio. I,
the you had to show your ID for the bar, but they had a bar
they had a
there.
bar.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, I
As
didn't
long
know.
as you had your ID.
God, the my con didn't have a bar. Or it was 18 plus, if I'm correct, but I didn't have a bar. That's why it
Well,
was
this
confusing when you said everyone was like sitting there quietly. I'm like, I remember the rave at my one. They were busted, man. Jesus Christ.
well the furries were busting at this one. I
Not even, Jesus.
I will give it to the furry community. When it comes to dancing, they fucking go, man. They dance. They don't give a damn. And at this one, they at every one I've ever been to, they typically like gather around the front, like right where the DJ is. They gather around that area, the very front of the area, and then you have all the other people who are just kind of like standing around in the back. You might have some people that just kind of like moving just to move, not really dancing, just like shaking their arms. I don't know. But I go in there and I'm just like, okay, well, I guess I'm just gonna party with the people, the fun crowd up front, because they're the ones who are actually getting down. So I go up there and I'm dancing, and I'm the only oddball out because I'm walking around. I'm the only one who's dressed casually. I don't have any cosplay gear on. I don't have any like suit or anything. So I'm the only person in there, and like I said, I was shit faced that night. I remember turning around and like it looked like when I turned around to see all the furries around me, it looked like I was like all these mascot heads. It looked like I was looking through a fucking Looney Tunes book. just, just these big eyes staring at you. It was weird. I was like, okay, well, you know what? I'm so drunk right now. I don't really care. So I'm going, I'm dancing, I'm getting my thing on. Next thing you know, I start feeling these like people who are just getting really like uncomfortably close to me, and they're just like dancing and moving around and pushing their butts into my crotch, and I'm just like, I got a fox on me, okay. And I shit you not, there were some furry paws that went underneath my shirt and went all
Oh.
from my stomach all the way up to my chest and was like hugging me from behind. And like, I was just like, what the fuck is happening?
Reese, that's a. I don't care. Okay, I'm gonna say this now. Even if it was like a non-paw hand, that's when it's like, oh, it's time to go, because this is not comfortable anymore.
This, there was I was just like, what is happening? I'm too drunk for this. I don't know what's happening. And next thing you know, I turn around and I just have like people look like they're running a train behind me, and I'm like, why
Oh.
am I in the front?
Oh.
So yeah, I kind of like nudge off of them because they were getting real filly with me. They were touching all kinds of parts where they shouldn't have been
Maybe
touching.
that's why they don't do the. That's why a lot of people didn't join the front.
So yeah, they were somebody was fucking horny that night. Those are my parts, Vega. Somebody was like horny then. I don't know what it was, but they were just feeling all over me, and I'm like, okay, I need to move. I need to get out of here. This is bad. And I push off and I go back, and it's bad because my damn coworker, I won't name. I should name her. 'Cause fuck her for doing this, but I was. She saw it. She saw the whole thing. She was watching me.
Oh.
She was probably sitting there watching me, just like, what is he doing? Why is he going towards the group of furries? Why is he doing this? He should not be doing this. And
I don't
I
know.
go,
I'm surprised you didn't ask anyone about like what like the dance, like what the rays are like.
I didn't. I thought I just experience it myself. You
Oh
know,
boy.
I should have asked, but yeah, I was just getting like hands going all the way up my shirt and touching my stomach and chest, and just ugh. So I get out of there because I was just like, okay, well, I'm sober now. I need to get out of here. This is just not
That
fun
sobered you up
anymore.
real quick. I was like, oh no.
Yeah. Oh, nope, 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 nope. I'm gonna get out of here before something starts poking me. So the next day, um, I come out. I come to the break room, and everybody's just like looking at me and just
Oh,
snickering to
oh
themselves, and I'm just
god.
like, what?
Yeah.
And one of the persons said, "I heard you had a fun night." I'm like, oh, oh no, oh no, you would. I'm like, who? And then my coworker, she comes up. She's just like, I saw everything. She said, "You're lucky I didn't have my phone. I would have recorded it." I'm like, "You saw all of that?" And she's like, "Yeah, I saw it all." And she's like, you're not getting away." She's like, you should like pay me for not saying anything." So yeah, I after that night, I just have apparently been the guy that has been the attraction to the furry fans, because ever since that, it's just been like every single convention. And that wasn't the only one either. I had another convention where it wasn't particularly a raid, but it was there was this one like person that they had this, they didn't actually talk. They had this like squeaker. Like it sounded like a dog's toy.
I almost feel like you've mentioned this person before, like on conversation, but I remember the squeaking, but I don't know if there was a story behind like the rest of it.
They must have had like a crush on me or something, because they would not leave me alone. They would like follow me around, and I don't know. I don't really have enough confidence to be like, oh yeah, this person's obviously into me. That's why they're following me around. So I was just like, this person's kind of creepy. I don't know why they just keep following me around the damn convention and squeaking. They weren't talking. They were just squeaking. And I just told them, I said, hey, really like your suit. You know, you look like you put a lot of work into that. You know. and I guess they took that a little too closely, like I was coming on to them. So we get it. I'm doing my job. I was a badge checker that day too, making sure everybody has their stuff. And next thing you know, this person comes up to me, and I'm like, okay, like, hello, you're that person. I was just like saying that like your outfit looked like okay earlier, and they just wave at me, and I'm like, I looked at my coworker, and I'm just like, oh yeah, hey, this is that person that I was talking about. Next thing you know, I get a fucking this person licks me with their mascot helm on.
Well, at least it's not like they lick you, their tongue actually touching you. That's what it's still not great.
I was I
It's,
wasn't expecting it.
I know, but it's just like, ooh, I, I,
They like licked me with their mascot helm on, and that didn't help the situation because all my coworkers already thought it's like, oh yeah, you're really they're really into you. Now I just get licked by one, and they're just it just didn't stop. It it just did not stop. So yeah, it was just like wow. And that was my time with the furries at anime conventions. Of course, they're at every single one you're gonna go to. I don't think there's a single one unless they deliberately say like no furries. You're gonna see them at some kind of convention.
I think it's mostly gonna be like
Um,
the costume ones than anything else. Though it's not gonna be like anything else.
yeah, because not all of them wear costumes.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it was like that was the weirder sides of it. Now let me tell you about the time I thought that it would they okay, so they had a convention that had a 18 plus panel at like I think it was like midnight, and it was a and don't judge me for this. I thought it was fun at the time. It was a hentai voiceover panel.
Oh, they've. That's not. Why would I judge you like that? I've seen other cons do that.
The last person I told this to, they just laugh their asses off at me, and I'm like, I'm serious. It's a thing, and they're just like, you're such a perv, and I'm like, no, I just thought it was fun. Any normal person would have thought it was fun. Shut up. No, no. So I did this one, and I wasn't expecting to get called on, but they ended up calling on me of all people. I don't know why. Out of all the damn people in there, I actually had to be a voice actor for one of the most cringiest looking uh porn videos.
Was it Bible Black?
It wasn't Bible Black. This one didn't have as much quality as Bible Black.
Oh wow.
This one okay, it was one of those where everything's just like super exaggerated. Like the character, well no, that's all of it actually. The characters are just like very it was very bad. I'll say that. It was just very bad. It was not good. Uh and I remember being so embarrassed doing it because I had this person this one person I guess the other the voice actress that I was working with she pretty much she was on point. Like you could tell she was like really into this stuff prior. She was doing her lines like perfectly fine. It was like improv and she was like hitting it out of the park. I don't know how she was doing it. But me on the other hand, I didn't know what to say. I was just going on and just saying random shit just like I think I said something about like I made like a reference to like Barney and Yogi or something like that. Just saying whatever came to mind because I had an entire audience of people just watching me fuck up hard, and and yeah, I think she even got to a part because you know okay so you know some of the scenes where they like they're speaking and it's just like God, how do I explain this? They're speaking with their tongue out, like they're doing like an eye gal face, but they're still talking.
Yeah.
I don't know how they're doing. Like their mouth isn't moving, but they're I guess they're thinking it, but they're still talking. Um, so she was doing hers, and she's just like, and I'm like, I and I heard one person just like out of the crowd just say, "You suck." I got so embarrassed. I walked off the stage. I'm like, this is just not meant for me. I don't think this. I don't think I was destined to do this kind of work. This was harder than I thought it would be. You don't really actually think about being like a voice actor for something like that kind of content. But I guess you do what you can, you know.
Oh man, for me,
It's a lot harder than it looks. I will say that.
I can do improv, but in the sense of that type of improv, of like you're doing it over a scene, I think it's a lot more difficult because I feel like sometimes because I think that does take a certain talent or scale to do. I feel like at that point you have to have done voice acting and improving for like a little bit before to do that.
I will say that like I will occasionally get some like I guess adult sex workers, or if you call them that for the voice actresses on Twitter. I'll get like recommended. I don't really know why, but I'll get recommended them, and
Please
I'm
don't just
I
say you don't know
always
why. You just
yeah.
why would
I'll
he
just say
why
I
would he
don't know
just lie
why.
like that in front of
Just,
me of all people?
I'm trying to make the lie look natural, okay? People don't know this. But
Reeves, I put your Twitter in the
anyway,
leaks, man. You got it. It's already too late for
how
that.
could you? Okay, fine. I know why. But to be fair, yeah.
All right, that's a good answer. That's a good answer.
That, that's my answer. So, yeah. They I applaud them. I definitely applaud them. It's a lot harder than it looks.
I
Got I'm,
I couldn't. I know I for a fact I could not.
I will say that I'm pretty sure whoever did the voice acting of Tifa in that recent animation that happened in Italy, she's probably making all kinds of money right now, just based off of that. That is a lot of
That's a
publicity
skyrocket career
overnight.
right there.
Yeah,
By accident.
it's funny. I'm seeing that all over Twitter, and there's like a lot of other things that are going on, and that's the thing that's making the headlines. Just like, oh yeah, by the way,
A guy accidentally showed say like porn of Tifa, and apparently it was a
was it
video.
was it not hacked, or was it just like accidental? I
It
don't know how you
was
accidentally.
accidental. I remember one of my friends telling me about it yesterday. I was accidental in the sense of it seems like he, my personal opinion, the way I was told about it, it seems to me he had it on there, but he forgot to close it because it was in a Zoom
Oh,
call.
people give people try to like frown upon that as degeneracy, but I mean, there's so many people that fucking watch that stuff. They just don't say it.
In my opinion,
That
when
that
people just get on when people call you degenerate or it says like, "Oh, you're this X word or this Y word, you have to be blah blah blah," it's like you have some either you watch this or you have some skeletons in your closet that are probably worse than what we're doing.
the people that are typically like strongly against something probably did it like back in the day when they were a lot younger. So it is probably like a self guilt kind of thing. It's like I must correct myself.
Some of it's self guilt, some of it's like forced into you by like adults, parents, and other people who also think like that.
The Christian family.
Oh, not even like
I
Christian
remember.
family. Some of the people I've seen who get mad at like not safe for work artists are like usually not Christian. They're just They're just,
Yeah,
oh no, man, they're just crazy.
I only say the Christian because I grew up in a family that was like that was very like anti that. They they just did not want me like subject to that kind of stuff as a kid.
I I
So like, eh.
I got lucky because like my family is too, but I was like straight up just allowed to watch things like Dragon Ball, Yu-Gi-Oh, and stuff like that. Like I even had like a Digimon stuff too, so it was just like okay.
Yeah, believe it or not, the like, there's Dragon Ball had a lot of pervy moments on there too, though. I mean, shoot, when how many times did they show Goku's crotch when he was a kid? I don't know why they kept showing so many things of that. I'm like,
I think that's
really?
more has to deal with the fact of it's funny. Also,
I guess.
because I
I
mean,
don't
like
know
look at
why.
characters like fucking Shin Chan. Like, have you ever seen a Shin Chan in that?
Oh my god, yes, they show that like a lot. I'm honestly surprised they got away with showing his dick so much as as this little kid is
Well,
like.
it's like it has no. I think it's one for like I think different cultural reasons. And two, I think is usually used just for comedic reasons. It's not like it's like this is fun. That's supposed to be funny. It's not like we're not showing it in a sexual way or anything like that. We're not wanting you to think anything sexual. I'm like, oh yeah, because usually that's what it is. Usually just made for laughs and jokes.
Like show his bare butt on the screen.
Because that's one thing a lot of people forget. There's usually like there's sexual like there's nudity in the sense of sexual, and then there's nudity in the sense of just oh that person's naked.
That's a really hard line to draw because like we get it, you know. It's just the human body. They just trying to censor the fact that it's nudity, so it's bad. It's like no, sometimes it's just a regular person's body, so they're nude. That like okay, that doesn't mean that's like the worst thing ever. But
I
for some reason, people just contribute nudity
to
in
like
things
sexual like it's
to
just
sexual stuff.
and it's like
I'm
that's
like,
always
no,
weird when you
it's
look at
not.
like things like statues or paintings, and there's a lot of those aren't sexual. They're just there. They're just kind of doing it, and usually like a type of symbolic meaning at
Yeah,
times. It's just like
yeah.
who cares? Who gives a fuck? It's not hurting me, is it? It's just okay. It's just there.
It's just the body, you know.
Like
God only
if
God
they
knows I trying to learn simple anatomy. I've had to look at a lot of naked bodies just to understand how like bones and muscles work. Just trying to learn like the basics, you know.
yeah.
You have to look at a lot of that, and then you just kind of becomes desensitized to it after a while because you see it so much. You're just like, oh yeah, you see a body, and now I'm just like, oh yeah, okay, so this goes here and that goes there. That's where this bone connects to this. I don't really, unless they're deliberately showing like sexual activity. I just see a naked body. I'm just like, you know,
No,
you
that's
see it enough.
yeah. It just usually is. It's just used for art purposes. Nothing like because it's like I said, it's always weird when people want to draw straight to sexual instead of just like, oh, well, whatever.
If I were to, there was one thing at the conventions that I've worked at that they tried to actually sort of ban it.
Really?
Certain cosplayers, if they were showing too much like cleavage or something, they tried to ban it. It didn't go anywhere. They they tried to ban it, but people were like so strongly against it because there's just like it's like it's a part of the character that I want to cosplay, so I should be able to cosplay him.
Yeah.
Like this is a more recent example. What's her name from Kill la Kill?
Riku? Ryok? Ryok?
Ryoka, something like that.
I can't say her name correctly, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Which I saw the post like not too long ago. I'm not gonna lie, even though they've like put more like clothes on her, I still think it looks cool.
Oh, it still
Personally.
looks nice.
It looks cool.
The suit
I
was
mean,
like it's like a lot of people were like a lot of people who even I even seen people who were straight up like I get the symbolism in the show, but this suit could still work at the show. And a lot of people are like, oh,
Yeah,
maybe change some colors. There was like, there was one artist I legitimately saw be an asshole to people about that, where they straight up were like, oh, these people must love censorship if they like this outfit. Oh, I'm like, motherfucker, what? How does that
uh,
equate to censorship? How does that equate to
you're
people? And he's a
you're
fucking not safe for
for us
work
or against
artist.
us.
And I'm like,
Oh,
dude. I actually I think I posted about that on Twitter. I think I retweeted that because I'm like, that's not fair to people to say, oh, you're supporting censorship if you like this. It's like they just like it based on taste. They have their own personal taste. I don't like you probably have your own personal taste in outfits and design. So it's not really fair to say these people want censorship if they enjoy this design.
sometimes people like what they like. Sometimes it doesn't have to have like this big grand political message. Sometimes people just like the simple stuff. Like, oh, hey, that looks cool.
Maybe that should be
I don't
updated.
see anything. I wish people would get that. You know,
I don't know,
some
man.
like it's okay to like things.
I
Oh,
don't know,
there it
man.
is.
People have like that's the one thing I might maybe I'll do that one day. I'll get you and just talk about like our Twitter artists who have kind of like went from being pretty chill to like, man, maybe you need to shut up a little bit.
There. Oh,
Because there's a lot where I'm like, can I just look at your art, please, please? I don't want to hear your opinions because usually they're kind of shit and kind of
artist
rude and
artist
hypocritical.
Twitter is like it's bad.
It went from pretty
It's
chill
really
to
bad.
bad.
Yeah, just a lot of really bad takes on things to just it just got really bad.
I know I didn't mention it in my first podcast with my friend about like the like anti SJWs and SJWs, but goddamn, there's a lot of anti ones in the fucking art community, and I'm like, you guys need to chill out.
Yeah,
we
they're so much against it. They just become the things that they hate.
oh,
It's just in a different light.
it's just like, oh man, there was one art like. I know we should get back on the topic, but I'm just like, oh,
No, I
I
know.
I remember one artist I saw, and it's the same one I've seen a couple times where I completely muted them now, and I'm like, I'll check on your thing when I want to see your art. That's it. I'll check your page again if I ever want to check your art because your opinions are really kind of really hypocritical and gatekeeping. Because I remember he made a post. Because I'm gonna talk about it with when I go in when me and Big do our big culture war podcast, but I remember he made a whole post about shitting on like the character model for Mary Jane and Spider Man. And like, give me a second. Let me see if I can find that. Cause give me one hot second. Cause
No, you're good.
that shit was like, dude, what's wrong with you?
There were
Uh,
some people that hated so me and my friends saw like recently saw the most recent Spider-Man movie, the
yeah.
No Way Home.
Oh yeah.
And I remember seeing some comments on Twitter, just people shitting on what's her name, Zendaya,
Yeah.
something Zendaya, the girl that played Gwen, I think. No,
Mary.
it wasn't. It
It was
wasn't
supposed to
Gwen.
be
It was
Mary Jane,
like
but she called
it
herself
was
MJ.
something else. Yeah, and they were just shitting on her, just like, oh well, they put this other person here just to satisfy the what is it, the diversity card or something. And I'm just like, but I liked her as a character, regardless of like her color or
I mean,
anything.
it's good. I mean,
I
you
liked
liked her
her
as a
as a
character.
character.
You liked her as a character. I didn't like her as a character, but other than that, I'm not gonna like shit on the actress for it because I'm like, she's still like, I feel like she should. I feel like the third movie she did really well compared to the last two, but still, it's like I'm not gonna shit on the actor for it.
the The last two, she didn't really do a lot. I feel like she was just kind of there.
But I found it. Here we go. The guy said Spider-Man, and yeah, I still hate this Mary Jane. This little girl is a woman with a little body, little with a little boy's body, and just constant bitching, and needing for validation. God, what did they do to MJ in this game? And I'm like, did we play the same Spider-Man game? Cause she didn't really ask for validation,
No,
and a little boy's body. Guy, what do you mean? Also, he shouldn't really be talking because I've seen him draw Shoto characters, so he shouldn't really be talking.
I tell you, it's usually the ones who are very strongly against it that have done it themselves.
I was so baffled by that. It's like little boy's body and stuff. I'm like, just because she didn't have humongous tits and like isn't stylized the way you want it, it's like bad. And it was just so weird. I was just like, man, the art community has went from being pretty chill and letting people kind of have their own opinions to, man, people just are kind of rude now.
When you get like deeper into the community, which is from what I've seen, it's just toxic. Like my God, they just angry, very angry people.
Yes.
You
Okay.
know?
Let's get back to the other thing. Let's get back to like your con adventures.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's a topic for another day. I'll make sure to put that on the list.
But they did try to sort of like do the whole like censoring thing because they
Yeah.
were they were saying just like, oh well, it's just like you're showing too much skin. It was like some of these characters just have like that's their design. That's just how they are, you know. And if this person idolizes this character, then who are you to knock them for it?
I could
If they put the time in it,
understand if it's like the person has no shirt on. It's like and your whole nips are just your boobs and nips are just out there flopping around. I can understand that. Or
I
like
will.
you're naked from the bottom. It's like okay, put some pants on. Like actually put at least some boxers on at least.
I will say that not everybody is modest enough to just show their body like that.
Yeah.
That's another thing. It's like they're trying to like combat this thing. It's like, oh yeah, people are just gonna come here nude. It's like, who do you know is gonna come to a convention just completely nude? Nobody.
Dude, if you listen to some convention stories, you'll be surprised.
Yeah, that's true. That's
I
very
mean, for
true.
God's sake, did you ever hear about Rainforest and like the diaper?
Oh God. Ugh.
Yeah.
I've
So
heard
so
horror
don't be
stories
like
about that.
oh he'll fully naked you motherfucker. There are people out there who walk around in diapers, and that's the one where I'm like, no, I will judge you. I will 100% judge you for that because you're not old.
I don't like that at all.
That's like, ooh, you go to a con, you see that, that's when it's like, I don't I don't think we should be here anymore. Because if they let that there, that's too much. That's too much.
There are
That's too much.
some there are some fetishes I just do not understand. And that is one of them.
I am more baffled when I hear cons let those in, and I'm like, why would you let that in? That is gross. That is disgusting. People and half the time they actually do stuff in it, and I'm like, that's even worse. I didn't need to know
Oh
that fact.
yeah. I actually watched a documentary on the rainforest and there was like a problem with like sexual transmitted diseases going around
I didn't
because
know that
people
one.
would get. Oh yeah, I heard that that there were like some people there who had like hepatitis C and they would go to these conventions and sleep with a lot of people and give them all of it,
Like I
like give them
knew,
all it too.
like I've seen two different videos. None of them ever mentioned that one.
Oh man,
That
honestly,
that's bad.
it if it was true or not, it would not surprise me just because of how like open some people are with their stuff.
Well, when it came to Rainforest was one of those ones that's like, this con was had issues for a multitude of reasons, and one of them was the fact that I could tell, like, I think a lot of the people who are causing problems are the probably people who got kicked out of other cons. Because when you go to, because you can get kicked out of a con, that doesn't mean you can't stop going to other ones. Sometimes it does
There's
if they put a backlist and they really start letting other cons know, like, hey, this individual did this and this at our con, be careful.
there there was one that I heard that that they were like defecating on the property. I think that was at Rainforest too.
Yeah, because Rainforest had a lot. Like I said, they had a lot of issues, and that was one of them. Because like
That is disgusting.
I remember in a stories video, he showed like there was actually people throwing him on cars and stuff like that.
Ew.
You know what? I don't care. I would fight someone. I would literally fight anyone in that convention center. I will find out who did it and I will fight them because that's like a straight up like either you clean it or we're gonna fight. That's the two options.
Yeah. That I've heard nothing but horror stories about that convention.
Yeah, and that's why I got shut down.
Did it get like shut down permanently?
Pretty much. It has at last they were trying to do something in 2016. Was it 2016 or 2017? But it didn't work out because they pretty much got banned from every like pretty much I think 2 states. So it's like no, you're gone.
Yeah. I don't blame them. Luckily, the conventions that I've worked at have not been that bad.
Oh,
I mean, yeah, I will say that some of them that I worked at. I mean, I've had to do like simple things, just like sometimes people get lost, and I remember there was this was one this one girl. It was I'm not gonna like make it out like it's a funny thing because I mean I could understand it. She was like got separated from her parent or guardian or something, and she was just freaking out, and I was trying to like like kind of comfort her, just like, hey, it's we'll find them. you know it's kind of weird for me. I don't know if it's just that maybe just we're different people, but I don't think I've ever like as a teenager ever freaked out if I'd lost my parents at something. I mean, I feel like I've seen it all at these conventions. I've seen some people. Uh, oh, oh, oh! I have a story. I forgot to tell you this one. Have you ever heard of a person fucking a chicken?
What?
Yeah, we're gonna go into that transition.
That now what? Give me a second. Give me 1 second. Like, it's not a real chicken, right?
No, it's a real chicken. Well, it's not
Did
a
you
live chicken.
see
That
it?
makes it better, right? Luckily, I left.
I
I
mean,
left when that
I mean,
happened.
even if it's not live, that makes it worse because that's necrophilia.
No, it was like one of those like rotisserie chickens.
Okay, but
That
still,
still counts as that still counts, doesn't it?
no,
Okay.
maybe I don't know. I don't want to say it doesn't, but at the same time, maybe I should say it doesn't. But it's still weird either way.
So there was this dude who was like kind of a fuck up. He kept like getting in trouble, and I guess the bosses had enough of it, and he fucked up really hard one time. He kind of got them in trouble because he had took
Oh wait,
taken
was this one someone who worked with you?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
God, he was such a creep. Very very chauvinistic too, and I don't ever really use that word lightly. This guy was like blatantly chauvinistic. He just did not care about like women at all. Very very creepy dude. And he took this one girl's phone and was like looking through, and apparently he was looking through all of her photos on her phone, and he found like I guess nudes that she had sent her boyfriend, and he was like teasing her about it, and we were just like, dude, that's not cool, that's very private. You should not be doing that. And he didn't care, he just kept going. So he ended up getting in big trouble with the head of all the conventions, like the dude who owned the conventions.
Yeah.
He got in trouble with him, and basically he he did something one day. I forgot exactly what it was, but he did something where the boss just had it. The boss was just like, I'm done. You know, you're either gonna stop doing these conventions or you're gonna do this one thing. And the guy was just like, sure, I'll do this thing. And he's just like, you're just like, are you sure? And he's like, yeah. So he goes to the store and buys this rotisserie chicken and says, if you fuck this chicken to completion,
What?
I will not fire you. And I shit you not, this dude actually went through with it.
Dude,
He goes, yeah. So he goes in there, and
also your boss
yeah,
is pretty weird because that's like what?
the boss is he got in trouble. He's not doing conventions anymore. He was not a very
Yeah.
normal person.
Well, to make a man
But
do that, that's already weird and kind of fucked up. I mean, the other guy was fucked up, but that's, I don't know, saying, instead of saying, no, you're fucking fired, get out, you're like, oh, here's this other option you could do.
yeah. Wait a minute.
That,
So the boss, he told him to do it, and the guy said, "Okay, I like these conventions that much." So they get together, and yeah, that is sexual abuse.
that's
They
100%
get
sexual
together,
abuse.
and he buys a rotisserie chicken. He goes into the thing.
If the guy told the
They go
cops, yeah,
into a
that guy
bathroom.
could have went to jail.
They go to the bathroom stall, and this guy literally has to. He gets shit faced, and he has to literally go fuck a rotisserie chicken all the way through
Oh, God.
while they film it.
Well,
While they film it,
that's also highly illegal.
yeah, they filmed it on their phones, and they probably, more than likely, still have it to this day. I'm pretty sure at least one of them. It was numerous people just watching this guy.
Why? What?
Yep,
Oh my god! Oh god!
yeah. So,
It got worse. The story got worse somehow.
yep. So this guy just kind of he's doing it. He's going he's he's going through the motions, and next thing you know, they uh yeah, the boss stopped him and told him he says, you don't have to finish, we have enough footage. And they kept him on board even though he's a very big creep.
He
He
literally
wasn't the
went
only
through a woman's phone and looked at her
he
nudes. He should have
he
actually been fired for that. That's actually 100% fireman at that point.
yeah. And he wasn't the only one. Like, he wasn't the only creep on the team either. There was like a couple of dudes who were just like really fucking weird. Uh,
So you had your own
when
Activision
when it came
Blizzard
to
team
women,
going on there.
yeah, like when it came to girls, these guys were just fucking weird. I don't know why they were so weird about it. But they, like, anytime it came to anything like any girls related with anything, they would just be like, yo, we're just gonna be as weird and creepy as we can be, and that's just gonna be the end of it. So yeah, this guy managed to keep his job, and that says a lot about
Your
the
management?
kinds of people. Yeah, the management.
Because he should have, like, I'm not kidding. I will repeat it multiple times. He should have been fired. There should have been no ifs,
There
ands,
was
or buts.
there was one butt, and that was the butt that got saved.
That was.
Cause,
Oh my god, that just.
I mean, they let these
Also,
guys
probably
get
all the
away
people
with
who
murder
filmed it
pretty
probably should get
much.
fired because that's still kind of fucked up. Like, that's
Oh
like.
yeah,
That's hazing. Actually, I think that is hazing.
that yeah.
I think that might be counted the
But
floor, man. That's illegal. That's also, if I'm correct, last I checked, is legal too.
they got away with a lot of stuff as long as they just did what the boss wanted them to do, and it's just It's fucked up, the whole thing.
Oh my god. I think
That was with the coworkers. That wasn't even with the con staff. I mean, I've got a lot of con stories, but like there was some interesting stories with the coworkers too. I'm not gonna lie.
what happened with coworkers. I mean, probably nothing that bad because that's I don't know how to feel because there's just so much wrong in the sense of a lot of people should have been fired. Like everyone involved, the guy, the boss, the people who filmed it, all should have been fired for this.
Yep,
Oh,
they didn't care. I mean, hell, there was another guy who like fucking harassed this one like female coworker of ours, and he somehow just kept keeping his job. He must have like the owner must have owed him something because this guy just kept showing up at every single one. I'm like, this guy is so fucking creepy. Like, why are you keeping him on board? And they're just like, no, we're gonna just keep we're just gonna keep having him. I'm like, no, get rid of him, please. What are the balls telling you to do? Also, hello.
that's just. Oh my god, dude.
Yeah,
That's.
I'm telling you, man. It's fucked up.
I mean, what were the coworkers like? Like, yeah, any
Uh,
bad stories about them, or was that just?
the coworkers were oh hello Schnitzel. And we're damn it, I'm gonna fuck up your name again. I'm just gonna call you Lord. You're our Lord and Savior. How about that? So yeah. What was I saying? The crazy part about a lot of the coworkers is just that they just did not know how to human. I mean, they just did. They were really creepy
I don't
about a
know.
lot of the stuff. Not all of them.
Is it that hard
There's
just
just
to like, if you're gonna have anime convention, do a test to see how weird someone is. Like, can
well
you be
they
chill with
recruited
people, especially
they
women? Please be chill
they
with women.
they recruited anybody. You know, they just let anybody in. And you had some really chill people that like were kind of normal, and they were just like, oh yeah, okay, like we're fans, we like anime and everything, so that makes sense. But you had some of them that were just like diamonds in the rough. That were just like fucking weird. I mean, there was one who would hit on all the girls, even like with their boyfriends like right next to them. I'm like, dude, that's very disrespectful. And they just didn't care. It's just really creepy about it. Some like I said, some of them were really chauvinistic. Like they literally thought that like women were beneath them. It was like fucked up the shit that you would hear some of them say. You ever hear somebody say something that's so you ever hear somebody say something that's so like unfiltered? It's like something you just don't you can't your mind just doesn't process it like
Yes,
right. You like
I see that all
some
the time on Twitter.
like yeah like you hear it and you're just like is this serious? Like this sounds like something a bully would say in a movie, but these people actually believe it. It's like that. It's like one of those surreal moments when they're just like, "This is not a movie." Like y'all actually believe this stuff. That's fucked up.
I mean, they're the guys who obviously either they change and learn from their ways and find good people, or they're gonna die alone.
They're gonna die in a fucking prison.
Oh, most likely. If they don't change, most likely. Because, ugh,
I'm telling
God.
you.
I would. I'm not. Like, is it sad to say I'm not that surprised, especially for an anime convention that those issues would be there? Because I'm not.
Oh, they are. It's like Lord Kevin said. It's like people don't get social cues, and that is very true. Some people just don't understand it. Like they don't understand like I guess boundaries. So they just say whatever's on their mind, and they just don't understand how it works, and some of them, it just goes on to borderline harassment, because I guess they have an idea of what they want, and it's just weird. But that's with the staff. The staff is just like, ugh. You're working with these people. Luckily, I didn't have to see a lot of them, but believe it or not, a person in chat right now, Vega, actually worked with me in some of these, and he can vouch for some of these people. He's worked with some of these people too, and they just like
I
he's
personally,
he's
if I kept seeing that, I probably wouldn't. I probably would, in all honesty, I probably would say I'm done. I can't. I can't. Like, I would tell the guy, like, I'm sorry, but if you're gonna hire people like this, and you guys are just gonna let them do what they want, I can't be a part of that because that's wrong.
they got well, the conventions eventually got shut down. Believe it or not, I never want to see them again. They eventually
Probably.
got shut down over time,
It makes
but that
sense.
was the staff's problem. That wasn't like you had the con goers. God only knows what they were getting away with the con goers. The
Yeah,
poor
that's what I
people that were
mean. It's the
just
fact that they were doing it to you guys, but they're technically it's what's worse is the fact they have a sense of power now. So it's like, well, I can't
yeah
get with these people who work with me, but I got some power over these people over here, and
yeah.
that's not oof. That's that. Those are the type of people you should never give any type of like authority over people.
They just yeah.
So who knows
They
what
really
happened
don't
in
need it.
the who God forbid who knows what happened in the background, like stuff you did not see.
Ugh. Like more than likely stuff that like I that happened before I even got there.
Cause
Yeah.
that's oof. I How did it eventually get shut down? Like, was it just all that and then like some other stuff in the background?
There was some kind of thing that happened that like the main like the owner himself got into some shit,
Oh yeah.
and a lot of he said a lot of stuff on Facebook that
Oof.
kind of showed his true colors.
I mean, his true colors kind of showed a little bit of the whole chicken thing. That's like, oh, you're a fucking weirdo.
This guy is like a comic book character. Like you're not normal. Like this is just not normal
I
for people
mean,
to think
what
this
did he
way.
say? Like, if you could sum it up, what did he say on Facebook?
It was something regarding the conventions that he worked. I didn't like get the whole story, but he said something that would just pretty much just did not make him look good. And you know how things go. He just he put his foot in his mouth. He said something that he just can't take back, and just he fucked himself over. And now a lot of the conventions that worked with him don't want to work with him anymore. So yeah, you don't want to do
Yeah.
that. You don't want to piss off your clients.
And people probably had a lot of dirt on him too, so they probably showed that to a lot of the conventions, probably.
Yeah.
So that probably adds up to, oh yeah, we're never working with you again. Cause Jesus,
Oof.
though, man. I mean, it sucks that you kind of lost the job. At the same time, it's kind like like from my standpoint, if I was in that situation, I'd be like, I'm good with that because I was eventually going to leave because I like for me personally that whole what you just said about the whole like harassment of women and stuff like that and like I'm
Oh
just
yeah, that's not
like
the only part.
I couldn't I would feel shitty just seeing that and like they just letting it happen.
There was a like my friend here. There was a big thing about okay, so there was this girl that we worked with. She was a sweetheart. I mean, I don't say that lightly. She was like the nicest person you'll ever meet. She was very nice. She was very outgoing. Um you don't come across people that are like that nice very often. and she was very nice. She was really into the anime and stuff, and uh, believe it or not, they actually fucked her over hard too. Because by the time my friend left, because he
I was
said
about
that
to say, Reese,
convention
please
was
don't make this turn into like a podcast where I'm like, okay, maybe this is enough. Maybe this is enough. I was
no,
like, please don't go where I think you're going. I was like,
no,
okay.
it's not. It's not
I
going
was
there.
like, I got scared. I got started sweating. I was like, oh.
No, no. They didn't. Not that kind of fucking over.
Okay, Jesus
Um.
Christ.
Okay, so she was like really nice, and she actually cared about her job. And my friend was like, actually, she was kind of like his pupil,
Mm-hmm.
and he was teaching her a lot of stuff. And let me tell you how the kinds of people that these people were. Um, so apparently she was the most qualified for the job. She
Yeah.
was supposed to become like go into like the sort of like managerial position like my friend was,
Mm-hmm.
because he was just like, I think I should just like retire from the con. They're not paying enough. I need to make a living, you know. So I'm just gonna retire from them. I'm gonna put her in my place, you know, because she I taught her everything I know. She knows everything that I do, and she's like perfect for the position. Would you believe that they actually did not give her the position for the sake that she was a girl? I am
No.
not shitting you. I'm not shitting you.
No.
I'm not shitting you. I am not shitting
If
you.
that's not
It,
a reason to quit, Reeves, that would have been another reason to quit that. It's like, oh, I'm out.
I I had to make sure. I was just like, "Are you sure it's just like other reasons?" He's like, "They literally told me." He said they told me to my face that the fact that she was a girl, that they didn't want to like take orders from her. I'm like, "You are fucking kidding me." That's something that you would hear like you would hear it, but you wouldn't believe it because you'd be like, "Oh, they're just exaggerating." He's like, "No, they told me that to my face when I left when I left like the conventions." I'm like, "You are fucking kidding me." And he said they did her dirty because they put this other guy in position that didn't did he wasn't qualified for the position, and he ended up fucking up the position even. Um, he said that they were so adamant on keeping this one dude in who wasn't qualified, um just so they didn't have to listen to a girl. I'm like, you're no, that that's bullshit. No
Actually, I
way.
always forget, Reeves. We were border states. What's your you you live in like if I'm correct, where you live, it's just fucked up for me to say this. It is, but it makes sense now when I'm starting to put pieces together. Okay, because when I'm starting, oh wait a minute, I'm like, let me do some math here, and I'm like, oh yeah, country people. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
South, kind of the South. I forgot.
it's such a primitive way. Like you hear it, it's so stupid. Your brain just can't like process the stupidity of it.
I was
You
like,
know?
I can't even like. She's qualified. She's nice. She's friendly. People like her, but because she's a
Everybody
girl,
liked her. Yeah, just because of that. I'm
dude,
like,
man, that would
you're kidding me, dude.
I I
That's
I
that's
couldn't.
not that's not like no way.
You have much more integrity to me, Reeves, or at least much more. I don't know what word to use, because I just I couldn't. I couldn't. I wouldn't be able to work anymore.
He told me this like after I stopped doing them.
But I mean, even then,
Um
though, like you stuck around, even
yeah.
though with the shit you saw. But
He said that after all of that, he says I have no like intention of going back to them. He says I not the guy that I work for not only was like a shithead about the whole thing. He says even if like they started again, he said like I wouldn't go back to it. Even though it was like his passion, he loved the conventions, which is sad, you know.
that's just
So yeah, it was like what the hell, man. Like people like that actually exist in this world. It's like something you hear on fucking like some kind of movie or TV show, you know, like some shitty reality show. You're like, oh yeah, this person is just exaggerating, but there's some people out there that are literally just like that. Like, why?
I don't know, man. Like I have a degree in psychology, and I still have tried learning why. It just they're just there. There's some reasons, and then there's other reasons where it's just you can't figure it out. Like
Oh, you man.
you worked for that long, and I like I said, I give you credit, but Jesus Christ, I could not for my life of seeing all like, cause like I don't like I'm still I can't put in words of how like shit it sounds. Like you had fun in the sense of like the con stuff you did, but when it comes to like the stuff in the
Yeah.
background, it's just like, yeah, you had those weird moments with the furries and everything, but then it's just this. I'm like, that still tame compared to that,
Yeah, well, you have to look at it. You're like, that's fucked up.
because it's just
You know?
like, yeah, they're being weird. They're a little too grabby. They need to chill out here, please. That's a little too much. Don't do that. But then it's like what you're talking about. It's just like someone needs to get punched right now. Jesus Christ. Someone needs
And
their
it's
teeth knocked out.
like Vega and Chess pretty much like saying a lot of it too. They were very like vocal on how they were in terms of just like the shit that they would say. Like you're serious right now.
Like I said, I only see it on Twitter. Like I've known about I feel I'm trying to think like of course I've met a lot of like creeps and stuff in college and stuff like that. Like I have a lot of college stories about like one dude in particular who was just the biggest creep to women, and and like his main reason why he never got kicked out of campus was because he was autistic, which was the main reason he never got kicked out or no one beat his ass. Because everyone knew what would happen is that you would be like, oh, you beat up an autistic person. This man just groped a woman,
I
which
get
he's
so
done.
sick of people using that as an excuse, like the whole autistic thing.
In my
Like
opinion, if
I
you're in
get it.
college and you're actually learning, it's like, oh no, that's not that excuse doesn't work anymore.
Like I get it. Like the whole like
Yeah,
autistic, but like there have been some like there was one person I had to kick out of my own server because I mean he was using autism just to be an asshole. He was being an asshole to people, like unapologetically. He just did not care about how people felt, even though they told him like please stop.
if it's who
He's
I'm
just like
thinking,
no.
is it who I'm thinking of? I saw him on Twitter like a couple weeks back. Even on Twitter, he's hated.
Yeah, it's yeah. So it was just like dude, like I told the person, numerous people told this person, and he just didn't care.
Or might oh wait no, I'm thinking of someone else. Never mind. I got kicked out of the other server I'm thinking of. I know what you're talking about now. I remember, but I just was so that was one of those things that like because I like I said I when I was in school I like yeah I talked to a lot of kids who were autistic and a lot of them did not like those people because they real because they're like they make us look bad
Yeah,
and I'm like that's and in all honesty the way you talk about the people there I'm pretty sure those are the type of people who use that excuse.
they do.
Of course they did. I
They use that as an excuse just to be assholes, and it's like, guys, really? Like seriously, stop. Just stop. Stop. Get some help.
I think at that point if you're gonna say you have it then don't work here, then get out because you can't if you can't really handle yourself properly without someone watching you, you might not be you shouldn't be working right now then. This is like oof man. Hey, anything nice? Anything good? Cause I'm kind of sad now. Like let's go back to like talk about
Oh,
something positive. Like Jesus Christ.
let's see the positives. So the positives of working at conventions, I will say, are it's just the overall like feel of being at them. You know, like for me, I'm usually not much of a people person. Um, despite me being a streamer and everything,
Mm-hmm.
I I I don't know. I do like going to places and seeing people. I've always liked that. I like going to malls and stuff on like IRL and just going to events and stuff. And when it came to conventions, I enjoyed seeing people happy. I enjoyed seeing people have fun, you know. Even if I was just watching them like a weirdo, I just enjoyed seeing people have fun and be happy.
Yeah.
And that was a lot of it. That was a lot of the good convention stuff for me. Is just seeing people be who they want to be. Like if you want to dress up like Sasuke Uchiha, you can dress up like a Sasuke Uchiha
Did
and
you
just
see any
kind of like.
Sasuke's get arrested?
No, I
That
did
was
not
a
see any Sasuke's
that was a
getting
trade for a
arrested.
bit for some reason. There was a lot of, I remember seeing a lot of pictures of people of like cosplayers of Sasuke's getting arrested. No one knew why, but it was a trade for a second.
Ugh. But yeah, I think that's the reason why I like conventions. I would go back to them if I just had better management and
Yeah.
just had an opportunity to. But just to that specific like team that did those, no,
Oh yeah,
God
that's.
no. I think the original boss like got kicked out of them, so they have another person in charge now. I think it's a woman in charge too, which is pretty ironic because they were so much against that in the beginning. It's like, yeah, no, y'all need some help. Y'all need to fix this and kick all the weirdos out.
Like,
So,
ooh.
ooh, weird.
I mean, it's nice to know that you enjoy like seeing people happy. Like that's a mark of a good person. Like you like seeing other people happy.
Yeah,
That's,
it's a lot of fun, you know. I mean, it's a lot of fun just seeing people, even if you're not like doing a lot of stuff, even if you don't get the references and stuff from like shows. Like I don't really watch a lot of anime. I'm currently watching Cowboy Bebop for the first time
mm-hmm.
because I never saw that. I've heard a lot of good things about it, but I've actually not seen a lot of Cowboy Bebop. Um, and I'm really enjoying that show right now. But in terms of like a lot of big anime, like My Hero Academia, Titan, Attack on Titan, stuff like that, I'm just like I don't know any of these shows, so it's kind of hard for me to make a judgment on them or know these characters,
Mm.
you
Fair
know.
enough. Yeah.
But I mean, again, I don't think I have to be a huge anime nerd to look at people and say like, hey, you know, I like seeing you happy. I like seeing you be the character, like be your character that you admire and seeing. You want to be the cute little frog girl from My Hero Academia, then sure, you know, go for it. You want to be the uh shit. You want to be the big uh uh what's his name? Itachi Uchiha, then go for it. That was the good thing about cons. Ooh, they couldn't even plan out the events. Their most ambitious events never got off the ground because they dragged their ass and wasted money. Oh God, yeah, Vega, you're right.
I wouldn't
The
be
he's talking
surprised.
about the conventions because he worked at them too. Um, but yeah, they did not know how to plan a lot of stuff too. So they went through a lot of money too.
I wouldn't be surprised. Like Jesus Christ, man. That's just. I mean, it's like I said. It's nice that you had like at least that brought you a lot of joy in that
Yeah,
bleak in those bleak times. Because
there was a I remember when it was one night I had this is kind of like minor, but I remember I had a bit of an anxiety attack when I was there, and I remember going in and I was just like feeling like I was losing my mind, and just seeing some people there, I was like, it doesn't feel so bad just looking at these people do their little events and stuff. I say little, like, but I mean, yeah, people doing the cool events and stuff, and I ended up joining some of them. I mean, shoot, I think there was one event I played was werewolf. which if you haven't played Werewolf, it's basically just like a kind of like a crime mystery sort of game
Like
where
like I know Wycon has them.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, just seeing people do stuff like that, simple stuff, it's a good feeling, you know. But yeah. Let's see. If I had any more con stories, let's see. Honestly, that was a lot of them. There was a lot of convention stories that I've had. I've spoken to a lot of the idols that I had. I even got to meet the uh oh man. There was some big cosplayers at these some of these conventions.
Mm-hmm.
Some cosplayers you may see on Twitter with a lot of like really dynamic looking poses and stuff because they've been doing it for a long time. They
Yeah.
probably make a lot of money from it. I remember this one woman there that was like a Charizard. She was dressed up like a Charizard. I remember talking to her, and I actually tried to ask her out, and I guess she just I'm probably really I'm like the I have the worst pickup lines. Like you wouldn't even know if I was like actually giving you a pickup line. That's how bad they are. And I was trying to talk to her, she just did not get it. But her I guess her manager or person who was doing the camera was just like, no, she's gonna be very busy. I'm like, oh, okay. Like I guess I can't do anything with this person, and then she just disappeared from the convention, and I didn't know where she went after that. I'm like, I just wanted to have a little like conversation, you know, have fun, meet this fucking beautiful Charizard. I don't know why you wanted to be a Charizard cosplay, but okay.
I mean, she has a manager, and you're at a con. Probably not the first
Yeah.
person. Unlike others, you're gonna be chill about it. They probably have faced one worse ones.
You know those like people you may see on Twitter that are like take like they may take like a bunch of cool nudes of themselves like these in these dynamic poses with the good quality and everything, and you may have like a lot of creepers on there. I got to meet one of these people, and it's just it's all a business to them. It's not like I don't know. I've spoken with a person on one of the Discord servers I'm in that just like constantly posts. He's like, "Oh, this person's so beautiful." I was like, "Dude, you know, it is like it's literally just business to them." And half of them probably have like boyfriends or girlfriends. So yeah, you wouldn't have a chance anyway,
Yeah,
unless they really wanted you in.
unless you can really be capture their eye of some type of interest. Yeah,
Yeah. At the end of the day, it's just business.
yeah.
That's what a lot of these stuff is.
Cause I
But I mean,
mean,
yeah,
yeah,
that's pretty much the conventions in a nutshell. Just the times that I've had at them. It's they can get pretty crazy, and if I would go back, if I had the chance to go back to them and just had like a better crew to work with, then I probably would, because they're just that fun, you know. Although now it's probably not a very great time to do conventions since you know the whole pandemic that we're currently in.
yeah.
If I had to bring that shit up the stream.
Well,
Yeah.
since you have anything else, this has been a good podcast. I'm happy you came on, Reeves. Like coming on here again.
Oh yeah.
But
I enjoyed talking about it. It's just kind of like a trip down memory lane.
like I said, you can see Reeps's at least on my end. You can see you can go walk scroll and look at the links, and you'll see links to his Twitter, his Twitch, and even his coffee. So if you see his art and you like it, you can donate to him.
Oh, thank you.
So
Yeah.
this
I'm
video. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
oh, I'm so sorry.
No, go ahead.
Are you saying?
You go ahead. You just say what you need to say.
Oh. Oh, I was just gonna say it's just like it's been a lot of fun. Um I wouldn't mind doing something like this again.
Yeah, like I said, maybe we'll do that Twitter artist one because we went into a little ramble there, and I could tell I'm like, okay, we need to stop because this is gonna go for the rest of the cast if I don't. But this has been fun, and like I said, there'll be a VOD of this up tomorrow on YouTube on my YouTube channel. Put a link on Twitter and share it, and if you're in any Discords or anything I'm in, I'll share it in there. So thank you again, Reeps, and I'll talk to everyone here later. Goodbye.
Bye bye.